What's up, you little barbecue cinnamon biscuits? You little caramelized Funyuns, boy, you got that junk. You ever made love to a carnival worker? Well, daddy got that gravitron. So get your tickets, step right up. Welcome to This Past Weekend.
This past weekend.
Celebrate living.
Celebrate living.
Celebrate misery.
Celebrate misery.
You know that soon we're gonna die.
You know that soon we're gonna die.
Let's have some fun while we all die.
Let's have some fun while we all
Celebrate
die.
dark days. Celebrate all your pain.
I want to thank Spencer Jacob Grau for sending us that intro music that was listener submitted. Thank you very much. That's Celebrate. And welcome to This Past Weekend. I hope everybody's had a wonderful weekend. It's Monday, May 22nd, the 22nd of May. May is kind of that month it's not all yet summer. Some places are still thawing out. Some places are in extreme heat. A lot of nap time. I don't know if it's just me, but just tired I see people sleeping at bus stops and people that might be dead but are hopefully just sleeping. I see, a lot of just resters and even birds. Like the chirping you hear is more like a chirp, chirp. Like everything is just, I guess it's that time where things are just kind of conserving their energy to fend off that hard summer that's coming upon us. That dirty heat, that fancy heat that can just press you. When that heat comes, it can be violent. Sometimes the sun just burns down a house. You ever thought about that? Sometimes the sun just burns down a house. Oh, a forest fire started? Why? The sun did it. Yeah, everybody wants to talk about how science is amazing and everything, but the sun is out there sometimes fucking burning down houses. So let's be realistic and recognize what can go on out there and recognize that it's still May and that things can be dangerous. Things can be dangerous. Welcome. We got a lot of good stuff on this episode of This Past Weekend. We don't have a guest. We do have some news we're going to hit. Trump was over there hanging out with the Slims, the Muzzies. He's in Muslim land. We had a girl got attacked by a sea lion. Some students walked out in Notre Dame at the commencement speech from Vice President Michael Pence. And what else happened? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what else happened. I got some new dates that I want to drop on you guys. I'm traveling. I'm taking this show on the road. I will be in Pittsburgh, Nashville, Stark County, Illinois, New York City, Orlando, Florida, where that alligator got that child, and where Disney World is at, and millions of people are. San Diego and Las Vegas, all before the end of July. Tickets and info at theovon.com/tour. So you can crack into that. Also, theovon.com/store has the new album. It's called Musket Fire, The Early Years of Satire. It's all the early stuff. It's stuff that's similar to what's on the Netflix special, and it is. You may already have it. Some of you guys might have gotten it at a show, at a live performance. If that's the case, then you don't need it. So anyway, this is not for you. Then you won't want doubles, but it's for some people. I want to thank Kara. I had a lovely lady come and meet me at a show and gave me this new mug, this past weekend mug. So I'm happy to have that, and I'm even happier to be here with you guys. I want to give you guys the hotline number. People are always asking me, what is the hotline number? I don't have it. I don't know how to use a phone. My grandmother's ill, whatever. That number is 985-664-9503. You can call in there, ask questions for basic life suggestions. that we can offer. And I also realized you can text that number. I've thought about putting up an email where people can email, but for now, since we still don't have an email, you can text that number if you don't feel comfortable calling. That number again, 985-664-9503. And let's hit the news, man. Yeah, Trump was in, I guess he's in Saudi Arabia, Iran. Trump was in Iran or Iran. People call it different things. That's fine. I'm kind of fascinated with seeing Trump go anywhere. I think Trump single-handedly seems to keep the news in business. I don't know what they would talk about. Like, if it weren't for Trump, would there even be any news? Would those companies be able to find news? There's a lot of distrust with the Middle East. That place can never seem to get along. It's unfortunate. It's hot as hell. It's like, I'm surprised they all just don't stay indoors and email each other. I'm amazed that the Middle East is even able to fight each other and have that much anger when it's so hot out. If I get angry, I prefer to get angrier in the colder months, where even that anger is kind of creating some self-warmth for you and providing, a positive for you as a person. I remember being so cold that I just got furious so I would feel more comfortable. So I'm amazed that the Middle East is able to, just keep all the strife up. I wish they would mail some of the oxycodone problem that we have in America over there, just to give everybody a little bit of time to chill out, Who knows? Maybe some global warming will bring some beaches over there into the Middle East, and maybe some new shoreline will help everybody relax. I think spending time by the water is usually very calming. I remember actually going back to last episode, we had people call in about the first time somebody touched their crotch. We had a man and a woman call in, and if you didn't get to hear that, really fascinating and interesting to me to hear somebody's experience of the first time they got that hand. Somebody put their hand on their meat, on their downtown, on their, on that. It's when because at a certain age, your crotch really starts to kind of beckon another, if you will. It's almost like your crotch doesn't exist, and then suddenly you hear your crotch start to whisper a little bit, whisper this like, somebody, looky. And at first you don't, but as you get a little older, that it starts to be like, somebody looky, touchy. Your crotch starts to beckon. Come here. Oh, pampa. Your crotch starts to want another. It's almost like a magnet is put into your body. It's almost like a magnet that is shaped like whatever your crotch parts are. And we had some callers that called in towards the end of last week's episode talking about the first time they got touched in that area comfortably, by a person they trusted and were interested in. And one woman got touched in a refrigerator box, which I thought was interesting, and another fella hooked up with a girl in the back of a truck, which also was which I could relate to. But I remember I never got to iterate my time. The first time I, had some gal touch me down there. I was on a boat dock, and that's where if you have a boat, instead of just pulling it right up by the shore and getting off of it, like you're some kind of pilgrim, people build a little dock, a piece of wood, a stretch of wood from the land out into the water, kind of meets the boat halfway. It's almost like a handshake, like a wooden handshake that goes out from the land and, kind of welcomes the boat back from the water. But anyhow, this gal gave me a hand job, an ejaculatory experience out there on this boat dock. And it was nighttime or dusk. It was just starting to get dark, I guess. And I started, spraying out at the end, and that's nature. And some people think that's gross and whatever. And well, guess what? If you think that's gross, then you must think that you're gross because you got here because of ejaculation. Do you realize that? that all most of us are is tall ejaculation. That's all we are. We are ejaculation that has gone astray, if anything, at best, And so if you're grossed out by that, then you need to come to terms with that, I think, I hate to pass judgment, but you got to get that together. Because if someone's talking about semen or seed, and that's what you're made out of at your root level, then that's alarming if you can't deal with that, I feel like, And that's how you started. You weren't made out of, sugar and flour. You're not a recipe, you are seed and egg. So anyhow, I remember getting ejaculated out into the water off this boat dock, and all these fish came and started, just devouring all of, what I'd created with my body, my ejaculation, and I hate to, now I'm feeling I've said it enough. They started devouring up my seed, and I remember that gave me nightmares for, I don't even know how long, months at least, that there were, I'd have these dreams that I was, like around fish, and I was erect, and it was just alarming. And I'd get alarmed near fish and near water, and I would feel just nervous whenever I would swim in the river or anything, extremely nervous, scared of snakes, and then also scared of that these fish that had gotten this, dessert out of my body were going to come back and were going to find me or knew me, as if because, sometimes dogs can remember your smell. They have dogs. Some dogs work for the police department, and they are, prime time sniffers. And they can, remember you just through their nose. And I was worried that fish would be able to remember me and come back and get me. But anyhow, what we're talking about, Trump was in the Middle East. I just think, I think it's funny watching Trump do anything. He's a fish. He is a fish out of water. He wasn't a politician. He got into it. He won the election, and I've never been a big fan of politics. I don't think any of these I don't think this system, for me, is set up to really, I don't think it's helping as much as we wish it could. And also, I don't know if it ever will or can. I don't know what a lot of our complaints are sometimes. Like, all we can do is do our best for ourselves, I just need to continually worry about me and about keeping my side of my life clean, because I still have problems. Before I can even really, when I think about it, even though I get mad about things politically, the bottom line is my politics in my own life and heart aren't even straight. So to then expect the whole system to be great when I'm not as organized and as functioning and efficient as I could be, it's a big ask. It's a big ask, But I'm worried less about politics since I don't have that much faith in the system. That I'm worried more about news and where do we get real news these days, And people, I'm not going to go into it, but I find that the news these days is all advertising. I look at it all as advertising. It's all an opinion more than it is the facts. So where do I get my news these days? I trust my heart, my instincts, and that's it really, and I try to just stay on the slow trail of making myself better on the politics that are inside of me, because those are hitting really close to home, aren't they? So why don't we try and maybe, we can try to spend our time, gestating over those rather than the big picture ones. What else in the news? Notre Dame students walked out. They had a commencement speech, or a fancy talk, you can call it. Mike Pence, who is the vice president, who's, this year everybody's in an uproar about, or it seems to be. A lot of people walked out. They didn't want to listen to Mike Pence. They don't like his views. I don't know that much about Mike Pence. I've never been that into vice presidents. I don't know anybody that has, except for like some creepy substitute teacher when I was in junior high who was like, had like he might have had like a tattoo of Michael Dukakis on his back or something. But yeah, these students walked out. Yeah, it's their right, That's cool. I would have stayed, I think, because then you miss the experience, Like, how do all they know from Mike Pence is what they've seen on the internet or what they've, read. Like, is that super trustworthy? For me, it's not. I would have listened to the guy, then you can be like, oh, I didn't like this that he said. I didn't like this that he said. But you didn't even get that. You didn't even stay to get. Even if you got one thing out of his speech that inspired you, that's more than most college students get in their 4 or 5 years of college, for me. So I probably would have stayed and listened. I was on a cruise one time as a student. I was working on work study on a thing called Semester at Sea, and we went to Cuba. This is in 2002. And Fidel Castro came and spoke to us. Or we went and listened to him. I'm sorry, he didn't come onto the ship. It was a cruise. It's a really great program. It's called Semester at Sea. There's like about 1,200 students, and it goes around the globe on a cruise ship. So you get to experience, it's like a buffet of planet Earth. You get to go to different countries and have some experiences. And one of my experiences was to visit Cuba, and Fidel Castro came and spoke. Now, Fidel is, I think it's pretty factual that he's murdered people. He's a dictator. I know for a fact, I walked into some bookstores in Cuba, and their history books started at when Fidel and Che came into existence there. Before that, you couldn't even find any history. So they said this is when our time began, and you couldn't find any history before that. So obviously they were dictators, right? But I still sat and listened to the guy. Like, I wanted to catch a vibe from him. I wanted to get some kind of idea. What did I think, Did I feel like the whole time he was talking that he was full of shits? Did I think that he, could I see how he could, manipulate the human language so that he was able to control people? Like, I just wanted to see. I wanted to get a vibe, so I stayed and listened, man. I just wanted to see. And maybe he would have addressed those allegations. He didn't. He didn't talk about being a dictator. He talked about just how well Cuba was doing and their relationships with America. And a lot of it seemed really, canned and whatever. But it was a great experience, and I stayed for the experience. I stayed for that experience. Because if I walk out, I'm not a huge Fidel Castro fan, but if I walk out, I lose the chance to listen, And also, as a man and as a dark artist, I got the darkness in me sometimes. And there's something old school about some of these dictators that they're the last of a kind, Like, there's like, I don't think it's wrong for at some point someone to think like, I want to rule a colony, or I want to, be a king. If I were in the medieval times, I would have ruled the land, or I would have been a king, or I would have, had a bunch of unicorns, or, I would have had all the wild ponies and the maidens and all that. And this dude did that, like, say what you want. Like, yeah, I'm sure, maybe he was a piece of shit, but he was also a ruler and a dictator. And that's pretty fucking gangster when you think about it, to just have whatever you want, kill whoever. It's like Game of Thrones. It's like, people love watching Game of Thrones. And part of it is because we would like to imagine ourselves in these roles of being a dictator, of being a ruler, even just to imagine yourself there in that role for a bit. That's interesting, So I wanted to stay because I got to hear a dictator speak for 3 hours, and it was interesting. It was interesting, But the Notre Dame kids, they didn't want that. They wanted to walk out. And And to me, it's a little bit disrespectful, but I guess if that's, if you feel that strongly and you know that much about Mike Pence and you're already against him, then I guess I can understand, because I also like to be efficient and I don't like to waste my time. So, but that's something that went on, man. That's something that else happened in the news. What else? British Columbia, a sea lion attacked an Asian girl. Now, if you're not familiar with where British Columbia is, then you're just like me. It is, I believe, it's part of Canada. It's like on the far east coast of Canada. And I could be wrong. That's fine. All we need is one plate tectonic shift, and I might be right. So, you never know, dude. You ever think about that? All we need is one plate tectonic shift, and everything could change, bro. Next thing you know, it's Papua New Sacramento, huh? You ever thought about that? Have you considered that, bro? That it could be the District of Mississippi, the Washington, D.C.M., the Washington District of Mississippi with one big plate tectonic shift? You could be living in Pensacola, Pennsylvania. All it takes, bro, one time for Mother Nature to move her bowels and everything's going to change. So think about that. Oh, what else, man? So a sea lion attacked a girl, an Asian girl. And I don't know if they pick favorites or what they prefer, but this sea lion, there's a video on it, on YouTube's on the internet. And they have a little girl, and her and her family, they're Asian. And they are standing around, and they look nice, And dude, I have never met an Asian that didn't look nice. They all look like they fit perfectly into their clothes. Like they come in exact sizes, Like they fit a small, they fit a large, they fit a medium. Other like white people, I know for sure it's like, I'm between an L and an M, Like I got to buy a shirt and then dry it twice and then not, and then never dry it again to fit. But Asians, right into a shirt. It's like it's almost like they knew the shirt in a past life and now they're meeting back up. They always seem to fit very well into their clothing. But anyhow, this sea lion, the family's playing with it. It's in the water, in some type of water, I'm guessing, off of British Columbia. And it kind of jumps up by the girl, and the family thinks it's cute. Well, then the girl sits with her back facing, this is off of a dock, right? Keeping docks in the lineup here. This is off of a dock. The girl sits, and the sea lion jumps, grabs the back of her shirt, pulls her into the water, bro. And then she has a grandfather that's Asian, and he jumps in very quickly, and gets in and gets her and gets right out. Remarkable quickness too for that man for rescuing her, I thought. But then a lot of Asians I see very docile, extremely well put together. It's almost just well organized bodies and minds. I feel like they're kind of the Tesla of humanity for me. That's what I think. But my thing is, why was this family playing with a fucking sea lion? Okay. First of all, it's called a sea lion. Yeah. Not a sea puppy, not a sea kitty, not a sea horse. They have those. But this is a sea lion, dude. Both things, the sea, all right, extremely dangerous, owns 70% of Earth, fact, maybe more, kills pirates, kills bacteria, salt water, what else, dude? Kills surfers, has sharks living in it. That's what the sea is. And then a lion, bro. Lion. Yeah. Not a kitty, a lion. You ever spent time around a lion? Yeah. Well, we probably haven't heard from you if you have, because they fuck people up, dude. A lion doesn't play, bro. A lion will lick your eyeballs out of your fucking face holes. Okay? So that's what a lion does. So sea lion, no thanks. I'm out. That's like somebody saying, hey, why don't you have one of these, Grim Reaper viper snakes? Why don't you get one of these Grim Reaper viper snakes, buddy? You'll be fine. No, I won't, probably. And that's the kind of shit that pisses me off when, you have prideful Asians who are fired up and they just start thinking that they have it all and the sea lion attacks. But you don't fuck with sea lions, dude. You don't fuck with sea lions, dude. Knock, knock. Who's there? Somebody who's not fucking with sea lions. That's who. Okay? Have I been attacked before? Yes. I've been attacked by cats, been attacked by dogs, been attacked by a group of black men a couple times. Or not men, but, kids that were in my grade, but that were also older than me, who'd been in my grade before, some of them. I've been attacked, I got hit by a car too when I was a child, a nice silver car. So I've been through some things. Just letting you guys know that. What else, man? What other news? Let's crack into a little more news for you guys. The NBA playoffs. To me, it's boring. Sorry. It looks like it's coming down to Golden State versus Cleveland, which we all knew about 6 months ago. So just the simple fact that everybody knew it and now it's happening just takes some of the excitement out of it. Golden State this time, they're going to be a rematch in the finals, and this time Golden State has one more all-star player, Kevin Durant. I think it's almost overwhelming how some of these teams can just pile on the all-stars and then they win the championship. That was one nice thing about seeing LeBron win last year. Even though they were pretty stacked, it didn't seem like they were as stacked as Golden State. It's going to be interesting, too, this year when they rematch, and LeBron doesn't have a lot of new players, and Golden State does. I'm a little bit sick of the NBA. I think that the players have gotten too fast. I think that the level of talent is too high. I would like to see a larger court or higher rims. And I'd like to see some diversity. I'd like to see more diversity in the NBA. Too many African-American players. I want to see more white players, more Viet, more Asian, more poly. Latino players, where are they at? Okay? How about some good Mexican players? You telling me that you don't want to see Guillermo Gomez fire off a 50-foot three-pointer wearing khaki pants like he does every day on his lunch break in Los Angeles? Every day, drive by a playground, you'll see it. Mexican guys love basketball. I'd love to see more represented in the NBA. I also want to see an Asian coach, head coach, an Asian coach. We've had Eric Spoelstra. Yeah, Eric Spoelstra. Yes, I get it, but I want everybody to know that he's Asian. I don't want a coach where some people are like, I think that guy is maybe Indian. No, I want a coach where everybody knows he's Asian. I'd just like to see some more diversity. NBA, help me out. Help me out. Sorry, I'm sipping on my on whatever I'm drinking there. All right, guys, what else? We're going to crack into some questions. I want to thank everybody for hitting the basic life suggestions. The hotline, and again, that number, 985-664-9503. I didn't have a ton that happened this past weekend. I just didn't really have a lot of stuff. I'll give you a sensual update. Personally, I'm still struggling. It's really kind of flared up, struggling with the masturbation and the masturbatory actions and activity, and pornography is kind of snuck back into my lifestyle, and I'm not happy about it. So it's a challenge, man. It is a challenge. And for those of you watching porn comfortably, jerk away, Daddy Bear, or frickin' bean out, sugar tits, bean out. But for those of you struggling with it, just keep trying. We keep applying ourselves. That's what I try to do, is just know when I'm messing up or just know when I want to do better. And I got to start asking my higher power for some help, because I'm starting to think that maybe I'm not capable of solving the issue or getting it to a comfortable place for me on my own. So we'll see. We'll see about that. But let's get into a few callers here. Let's go from, I think this is Catherine.
Hey, Theo. This is Megan from Phoenix.
Megan, onward.
I'm just calling in because had a lot on my mind lately, just generally about how I'm doing, where I'm going, and it all kind of comes down to the question of how do I feel most successful, and I was calling to kind of ask you the same question. How do you measure and value success?
We got some uncertainty in the desert, it sounds like, with Megan. Let's go.
Right now I have 3 jobs. I'm working my ass off to do what I want to do, and it seems to be going in fairly the right direction, but I'm constantly stuck thinking maybe I should do more. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing. And like my brother's getting married, my cousin just had a baby, my mom just beat cancer. Like these are things that I value as successful, and that what I'm doing I don't really see as much. So I was just honestly curious about how you value success.
Wow. I'll say this immediately. Can you notice how women are so good at just organizing their thoughts? Concise. Like she kind of got it all out. Most of the calls from dudes were like, hey, bro, this is, it's just interesting how we're different like that. And that's not everybody. That's just Megan and then all of us men. Thanks for calling, Megan. I appreciate it. It sounds like, you're measuring success. You want to feel successful. You weren't really comparing material things. So that's great. It's great that you're not in that plane, on that plane or on that tangent or something. I don't know what it's called, but it's something where it's not, it's great where you're not comparing yourself to others materially. Cause it never ends, bro. There's like a guy in Persia who's like, eating, drinking gold milkshakes out of silver vaginas, and that guy wins. He wins. So materially, you can't, it's hard. But it sounds like you're comparing yourself to people emotionally, or like in things that matter. It sounds like maybe your soul is a little low. Your soul might be low. And one of the ways you can fill that up is by doing things for others, because you mentioned things like, your brother is having a baby, or your cousin's having a baby, your brother, I don't know if he graduated something, your brother did something, your mother just beat cancer, those are all things that are, family and oriented or family focused, or, things that are important, things that are meaningful. So it sounds like you're looking for something meaningful. And ways you can find that are really just going to be by helping others, but in the meantime, if you don't have that ability, you can, say if you don't have a family of your own, you didn't mention that, you can still be a good daughter, you can still be a good new aunt to the baby. You can, work on being the best one of those that you can be. And if you're doing that, then you really are doing your part. Maybe you're just not recognizing some of the things you are doing, you said that you're working 3 jobs, but you're also, it sounds like, have been working 3 jobs in the soul section. You have a mother that beat cancer, and it sounds like you care about her, so you were probably there for her. You have a new baby coming into the family, and it sounded like, you at least know your cousin who's having a baby, and your brother. I can't remember what's going on with him. Let me go back and listen.
Right now I have 3 jobs. I'm constantly stuck thinking maybe I should do more. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing.
Let me see. Sorry.
And like my brother's getting married.
Your brother's getting married. Yeah, so you have the brother getting married. And I bet, maybe you're feeling lonesome there. I don't know if you're married, but you can be the best sister you can be, be the best bridesmaid or whatever, however you're involved. So it sounds like, those are 3 jobs that you're doing as well. So maybe you just need to recognize that your soul is probably a little more fuller than you think it is, that you are pretty successful, even when it comes to like, things that matter, not just work. And how do I measure success? I haven't always done it well. I grew up having a lot less than people. I grew up feeling less than and unloved. And so I really put a lot of those things as things that made me feel successful. Just wanting people to like me no matter what, needing to be popular because I felt like no one cared when I was young. So, I put some of those things ahead that I shouldn't have. But now I'm trying to fill myself up in the soul section, you know? So maybe I'll see you in the soul section at Sam's Club. Wouldn't it be great if they had a soul section? You know, you're like, oh, I'm just going to get a couple bags of these uplifting flakes. So I just got to keep working. I got to keep working at it. I think I'll feel successful then, you know, when I'm a loving, caring person that is continuing to be that each day, even when I feel some days like I don't want to be. So I think that would be my definition of success, and helping others, you know, those are days when I feel the best. But don't be too hard on yourself, because it sounds like, just from your voice, maybe it's judgmental, but it sounds like I bet you're a pretty good person. All right, let's take another call. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. This is Chucky from Odessa, Texas.
We got Chucky from dirty Odessa, Texas. I've been down there to Odessa, and I saw one of the dirtiest animals I'd ever seen. I don't know what kind of animal it was. It had a lot of dirt on it. Onward, Chucky.
And I was calling because I wanted to get some advice from you.
Okay.
And it was spurred because of the listener, Michael, the one that finger banged the chick on the back of his 94 pickup.
Yep, I remember Michael called last week. We had some people calling about crutch and touch last week, touch and crotch. Onward.
But anyway, so I was wanting to get your advice on how to get over the first girl that gave me a blowjob. I've been chasing the dragon ever since. I've gotten blowjobs from multiple girls, but it seems like she's the one that tops them all. Unfortunately, she's moved on and she's married, which is fine. I don't have any feelings for her, but the blowjob part is where I'm having trouble getting over. Like I said, I'm still chasing that dragon, and she tops them all.
Wow. Okay, so you had that great blowjob, that beautiful sucky suck from that girl, and she's gone and married now, and you're trying to get past that. Well, for one, have you thought about the fact that, I mean, your penis might have less feeling in it these days, you know? I mean, that might sound crazy, but when I was young, brother, I mean, my penis could hear a bird, you know, it's 70 yards away. Like, what is that, a nightingale? I mean, my penis was erect for whatever. It was basically a watchdog, you know, and my penis had a big plan every time. But now my penis, dude, there could be a cart full of, fresh cooter could spill over next to the bed, and I don't even know if my penis would get up and be interested. So some of it could be you're just not getting the same feeling in your penis as you get older. I know that that's an issue for a lot of men, so don't feel too bad about that. But I think one thing you can do is tell girls what you want, you know? I think you can tell girls what you want, because if you're just chasing that special blowjob, man, you might never get that. That's, you don't, and the times were different. Who knows what you were doing back then? You may have been poorer. I mean, blowjobs always feel better when you're poor. So I think, you might be chasing like an invisible dragon. That's what you might be chasing, So you might just want to tell a girl that you like or that you love, that you fall in love with, what you like and what feels really good, and kind of coach her, because I think women are open to that. Don't be mean, don't be violent, don't get all Russian on her, but just be, helpful and concerning, But some girls are better at it than others, man. I had a girl one time gave the softest blowjobs ever. Too soft. I mean, like she just had a bunch of downy dryer sheets in her mouth. She barely even would touch my penis with her mouth, like she was a mime. Like she was just a mime just sucking cocks, and I didn't like that, man. It's like, it's not Jenga. Like you can, put a little pressure on it. But I let her go, and sometimes I wish I hadn't. She was a great girl. She just gave those, just the way too soft blowjobs. Like a baby was sleeping right next to my dick. Like that. And I didn't like that very much, So yeah, I think the best thing to do is to find a girl that you like and tell her what you really enjoy. I think that could help. Outside of that, you can keep hunting, bro. There's a lot of good girls out there that are giving them, Some of them are crazy, though. I mean, one girl pulled on my balls so hard. I mean, I swear to God, I'm going to have a kid with a long neck. First kid I have, going to have the damn longest neck you've ever seen. And still from that girl. Miranda was her name. And that was near Poughkeepsie. I don't know if anybody's ever been out there. I think near Poughkeepsie. Anyhow, I was going to take one more call, but you know what I'm going to do? I got a thank you call from one of you guys, and I just want to play that on my way out tonight to show some gratitude. And I want to thank you guys for listening and be a part of this past weekend. I'm going to try to do a special on, we've had a lot of guys calling in talking about manhood and what that means. And I know I've been saying I'll get to it, and I will. It's just been hectic. Just got a lot going on, and I'm feeling blessed and fortunate and better this week, even better than I was last week. So I appreciate your support. And on the way out, let's listen to this call. We got a thank you, and this is from Chris in Groveland. Some of you guys just call and leave thank yous, and I never play them, and I hope this doesn't offend Chris, but I appreciate it. You know, I really do. So you guys be well. Take care of yourselves. And after this, I'm just going to close out. We got a good week ahead of us, I think. You know, let's believe that. And if you're having trouble, hit the hotline, man, and I'll try to help out as much as I can. All right, man, you guys be swell. All right, and this is a thank you from Chris in Groveland. We're going to check that out now. You guys have a good week, man. Be good to yourselves. And you know why, dude, because you probably deserve it, huh? I'm going to try my best, man, and I'm going to and pray for me about that masturbation, bro. I'm trying to lay off that masty and stay confident and stay steadfast and keep my feelings tight inside myself. Tight. Here we go.
Yo, what's up, Theo? My name is Chris, and a friend turned me on to you about a month and a half ago. And I know it sounds crazy, man, but your sense of humor speaks to me. And I was like dying of thirst for a comedian or somebody, a podcast, a personality, something I can really relate to. And I know this sounds corny as hell, bro, but
it's all right, bro. It's okay to sound corny, man. You know, fuck, you don't think I feel corny a lot of times saying all the shit I say, bro? But you know, I appreciate you calling, dude. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts, man. Onward.
You're really refreshing. You've kind of inspired me to start writing. We have similar personalities and similar sense of humors. And I just want to say, man, I really appreciate what you're doing. And keep up the good work, man. I was listening to one of your podcasts, and you were giving advice to somebody about how try to find happiness throughout outside of your work. And you mentioned something about doing stand-up comedy, that sometimes 2 days a week you don't feel like you're on the right path. And I just want to continue to encourage you and let you know, man, you are on the right path. You're the best comedian I've heard in a long time, and I really appreciate you putting your thoughts out there and your honesty, man, because it's really refreshing and it helps out a lot of people more than you'll ever know. I appreciate it, Theo. Take it easy, bro.
Wow, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate you, man. I just want to say you're welcome. You know, and I'm not playing that to get any, self joy. But I wanted to play that for you guys just because I get some calls like that. People just saying thanks, and wanting to share their gratitude. And I think that that's important. I think it's important. There's sometimes when I don't, I want to do something and I just don't do it because I feel weird or embarrassed or I feel like I'm going to be ashamed. Something that's good. Sometimes that's good things, or just telling somebody thank you or just sharing some how I feel, So I appreciate that, Chris, man. I hope I didn't put you on the spot too much. And you're welcome, dude. And we're trying, we're just trying to share our shit, bro, because we all got a lot of shit, dog, man. Damn. Daddy's diaper is full. You feel me? But you're welcome, man. And I'm going to take us out again, man, with a little bit of Celebrate from Spencer Jacob Grau, who reached out and sent in his music. We got some great calls. We'll hit them hopefully maybe later in the week, but if not, next week, man. Thank you guys for listening. And I did want to tell you also that you can subscribe online. If you're watching the podcast or listening online, subscribe or put a rating or a review. All that kind of stuff helps out, man. We're going to try to get some sponsors to help alleviate some of the costs. So you guys be good, man. Bless y'all. Take care. All right. And on our way out, celebrate.
Celebrate living, celebrate misery. You know that soon we're gonna die. Let's have some fun while we all die.
A little bit of dark song,
Celebrate dark days.
but the beat is uplifting.
Celebrate all your pain.
Reminds me of Blind Melon a little bit.
Your demons exercised.
But it's really good, man.
Let's have some fun while we all die.
All right, you guys be good, man. I'm out of here. Take care. Have a great week. Hit the hotline if you need me. Thank you guys. Let your friends know. And thank you so much for the love and support, man. Bye-bye.